Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 12 of the anime series Hibike Euphonium Season 2. And for all intents and purposes, I was under the misguided impression throughout the course of this episode that it was actually the season finale. I wasn't aware of what the episodic run for the season was meant to be, that it was meant to be 13 episodes. And so by the end of this episode, to see 2 be continued, I was left grasping at straws like, wait, there's more? How can there be more beyond this? Because every story thread going all the way back to the first episode of the season, everything including, the relationship dynamics going on between Nozomi and Midori, the characters surrounding them that were helping them, Natsuki, Kumiko, all the stuff with Asuka Senpai and Mamiko, Kumiko's sister, everything really came to its fruition in this episode. There was a maximum sense of closure by the end, and it was just kind of like, well, is the next episode just going to kind of be a kooky, fun special episode kind of thing? Are we actually going to have a further end cap? It's kind of like Lord of the Rings, where you have several endings in Return of the King. Is that what we're going to have with this season? We still have an ending yet to come? I don't know. Because this episode was, penultimately satisfying, even though the girls did not manage to achieve gold. They achieved the bronze, and that was somewhat of a letdown. It was kind of sad that. But it goes back to something I was saying episodes back now, where I was talking about all the tumultuous things these girls and guys have been through, especially those relationships that were put into focus, Midori and Nozomi. Again, as I say, Kumiko, what was going on in the dynamic between she and Asuka, she and Reina and Taki-sensei. All of this stuff, it was a very tumultuous season for all of our characters. And if they could find a way, of attaining alignment, come back together, make amends, and be in support of each other, be true friends to each other, they're winners whether they achieve gold or not. And that's very much the outcome we were given. They did not achieve gold, but they're all still winners for every effort that they made, for coming together, making amends between each other, supporting each other. And for that, I can't say, while I was somewhat disappointed, it wasn't like earth-shattering or episode ruining, season ruining that they didn't attain the gold, because other things mattered more. The relationships mattered that much more. And it was really kind of flabbergasting and surprising to see Reina rising to the occasion. In this, they completely forgot they had to, echo a chant throughout the chamber when Taki's up there receiving his conductor award. All the conductors are being given awards, and then they have this one guy who's like, oh, so-and-so sensei is so hot, and he looks like, I don't know, kind of a pig face. No offense to the guy, but it just, nobody was prepared from Kataji. They didn't, it slipped their mind with all the weight of this particular final, performance. And Reina, she rises to the challenge, and she makes her confession of love, which actually swoops over the heads of everybody. Kumiko has to bring her back down to earth. Look, you don't have to freak out. Everyone just thought, a spur of the moment thing, like you were just chanting your support of Taki, they didn't think it was a confession of love. And then, of course, you have Midori asking Azuki, do you think she likes him? Everything, there's the new gossip for next year. But no, it was pitch perfect. And to see, that sort of little girl aspect of Reina's mentality, something I touched upon in a previous episode discussion video, where she is one of the most mature of these girls, but no matter how mature she acts in trying to, play her instrument, learn the instrument, perfect the playing of it, reach out to Taki, no matter how much maturity she has, she's still a high school girl. And to see that puppy love come out so expressively, so emboldenedly in front of everyone, and, thankfully, nobody really took it to mean that. Kumiko knows better, and now Midori's questioning it, but nobody knew the wiser that it was actually a genuine confession of love on Reina's part. And to see her so entirely exacerbated that she just did that in front of everyone, and Kumiko really having to ease her mind that it's okay. You didn't give that impression. And because of the situation, thankfully, people just thought you were the knee-jerk filling in that gap of something everyone forgot, that they had to do to champion Taki in his moment of triumph. And it was sweet. It was awesome. It made me chuckle. And that much more so when Taki seeks her out afterward. And he has been a character to doubt himself. I mean, everything is sort of born out of his wanting to see his former wife's dreams come true, and there's a level of uncertainty on his part. He works the class very hard as a teacher, and that's kind of the reputation he has. That's what he's known for. And he's been fearful that he's pushed them maybe too hard, that they wouldn't be, too grateful for him or impressed with him, like him very much. And in that moment, you could almost see the teeter-tottering of Taki on the stage, when for a couple seconds it's dead silent once they've said his name, and that fear that must be going through him as far as, oh, my students, they hate me, they loathe me, they don't even want to champion my name in this moment of receiving this award. And here comes Reina, and he sought her out to tell her, just his most gracious thankfulness for her having done this. And again, she kind of makes a confession. She says, I really, really like you, and, everyone likes you. Everyone admires you, and you have Yuko, standing next to her after Taki walks away, and Reina's, like, flushed, comes crashing down under the weight of doing it again, this time to Taki's face. Yuko kind of pats her on the back, like, it's okay, girl, we know what you're doing. Now we kind of get it, but, it was just utmost satisfying that. And again, the entire episode, I mean, they kind of strung you along with Kumiko looking for Momoko, her sister, and she kind of thinks a couple of times she sees her, but it's somebody else that looks just kind of similar. And she's really feeling utmost disappointed because does she even know her sister was there? I'm not entirely sure. I don't remember if she was aware of that. Of course, we the viewers see Momoko in the crowd, and she's very much apprehensive. She's looking forward to supporting her sister. And I have to wonder if Momoko's leaving and not seeking Kumiko out was because she didn't want to put any pressure on Kumiko, to feel like the elder sister looking down on, condescending to the younger who didn't achieve what she set out to. She wasn't able to win the gold. And I don't think Momoko wanted to approach Kumiko in that environment because maybe Kumiko would feel threatened by that because of the tumultuous relationship they had. And so it was really awesome that, toward the end, as the third years, of course, Asuka and Haruka are giving their sort of goodbyes and saying, next year, set your sights on next year. You're going to be back here. You're going to win the gold that time, the next time, and everything like that. As they're giving their sort of going away speeches, if you will. And I thought Asuka's was really heartfelt as well. I mean, there were a few moments, where she hugs Kumiko at one point, and she seems like almost on the verge of tears after Taki had given her the message that her father, he heard the euphoniums and he wanted that message passed along. So glad that you stuck with it all these years. You sounded beautiful. To see, Asuka embracing Kumiko, that whole dynamic came to a close right then and there. As I say, that story thread throughout the entire course of the season, because Kumiko is the only one Asuka felt well enough to sort of confide in those secrets, those aspects of her life. And for her to share that moment with Kumiko in that final stage, that final vestige of, my father is happy. He's proud of me. Even though I didn't achieve gold, he's proud that I kept up those efforts. That's something he wanted for me, and that's something she has aspired to, so it was fantastic. But as I say, in the aftermath of this, Kumiko sought Momoko out, and they had that really just great, heartening moment on the bridge where Kumiko calls out, I love the euphonium because you were here. I love band, and I wanted to play because of you. And I love you. And, it's like, as I said a couple episodes back now, when Kumiko cries, Johnny cries. And I was thoroughly crying with that, not quite a confession of love. It's not quite the same thing, but, admitting that she cares for her sister, and Mamiko answering that, saying, I love you as well. It had me crying. It was like, it was just so pitch perfect and beautiful a moment, a characterization moment, a character moment. The emotions were real, they were raw, and it had me crying and bawling my eyes out. Like, this is what I've waited for. This is what I wanted to see. You know, even though we already had hints of this with Mamiko coming to Kumiko and asking, you know, do you have any CDs up you're playing? I'd like to hear it, and this, that, and the other thing. We knew she was turning a new leaf in the next step of her own life, that she was looking forward to having moved out of the house and dropped out of college. But to see her turning over that leaf of now supporting Kumiko, making the conscious effort to support her, showing up at this performance, you know, and then in her own way, wanting to not confront Kumiko, who she might have felt would have been put upon had she done so, because Kumiko didn't achieve the goal she set out to. There's so much love and compassion between these sisters, and it really came to the fore in that moment. And it was endearing, and I loved it. And again, I just cried my eyes out because of how satisfying it was. And, I mean, the episode as a whole was utmost satisfying. Again, feeling as though I was watching the legit season finale. I didn't expect there to be a further episode yet to come, and I can't imagine what they're going to do in it. You know, like, how can they finish out this story in any, you know, more savory a fashion, in any more complete a fashion? I don't know. I have no idea. And I mean, it really just comes down to the characters, the characterizations, you know, the relationships going on in this series that pulled me in, going all the way back to the first episode of season 1, and has kept me coming back and excited to be coming back. I mean, everything from the band performances, the times we have gotten to see them actually performing. We unfortunately did not get to see that in this episode, but I mean, you know, you've already seen them perform. They're going to be performing the same piece anyway, so it's not really, there's not too much variation you can do. And I don't feel like we really missed out with all of the other deep, heartening character stuff that was going on in this episode. But it's what always keeps me coming back and makes me thoroughly enjoy this series, from the band performances, the music, the characters, the relationships, and just really, you know, it was all utmost present in this episode, whether it was the finale episode or not. It felt like the finale to me, but of course it wasn't. And but it really reached all of those peaks. Everything that I have felt through the course of the series, going back to the first season, it all was paramount and tantamount in this particular episode, on display. You know, the deep, engaging story, the cuteness, the quirkiness of the characters, the drama of their relationships, it all came to the fore in this episode, and it couldn't have ended in any better a way, to my thinking. And I mean, even little things like, you know, you had Mizori coming up to Kumiko and sharing with her that she has her best, whatever you call it, the thing she, you know, blows into with her instrument. I forget what they call that, but the idea of doing the fist pump and like supporting each other and kind of thanking Kumiko in her own way for Kumiko's support earlier in the season. And then, of course, you see Asuka come by as well. And I mean, these girls, their relationships, they're thick as thieves, you know. They say blood is thicker than water, but while none of these girls share blood, their bonds are thicker than water. And you really get that sensation, and that's why it's so appreciative to me as a viewer to be able to feel that and see that and feel like this is something to aspire toward. You know, this is something you can be inspired by, whether seeing that they will not be defeatist in their loss of attaining gold. They will not be, you know, split apart. They're not sore losers. They have made amends with each other in all of the times that they've had confrontations and you know, adversarial dynamics in their relationships. It's just a brilliant, brilliant show, and this was a brilliant, brilliant episode. And if this had been the finale, if we had ended it here, I don't feel like I would have been in any way, shape, or form soured by that. I think it would have been pitch perfect. So it's going to be interesting to see what exactly episode 13 will entail, whether it will be a kooky let your hair down special episode, whether it will be an actual end cap where there's a little more to the story, the drama to unfold and everything like that. It'll be interesting to see what exactly transpires, and I can't wait to see. It'll be sad to see this series go, but eventually I got to catch up with the movie, and maybe we'll get a season 3 eventually, because they are talking about next year. The second years are taking a step up, and it's all about trying to go for the gold again. So we'll see. And so yeah, otherwise it'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.